It's like, okay, have you seen
Oh,
the the morning routine that's been famous this week?
for that lunatic guy?
The
Yes.
guy who's the guy
I've seen
who
it in like three
jumps
different places.
dives into the pool at 7:36, lands at 7:40. Yeah,
Yeah,
so funny.
that one's really good.
Yeah.
And someone makes him breakfast
Yeah, some,
because he's been
you know,
up since.
faceless woman. I think if you have been awake for 5.5 hours by the time it's breakfast time, you've had enough time to make your own breakfast.
Hmm. Yeah, I think we could have skipped one of
He
the
eats his
three
own
ice baths.
I think so. Yeah, you could have taken that time to like, do some meal prep. And it's interesting that he'll
Hmm.
eat one banana straightly,
Hmm.
but then that's kind of all he can do for himself.
And then rub the peel on his face.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Straightly also still
Yeah. Hmm.
though.
Yeah. Lest we forget, a woman's place is the kitchen.
Mhm.
That's our biological directive.
That's true, actually. Because sometimes I get hungry and I'm like, I gotta go to the kitchen.
That's where the food lives.
That's where that food is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, it was gonna be a funny, like, oh, people are so funny about their morning routines and don't realize it makes them look psychotic. But then it ended up misogyny.
That
So
was
it's kind
my
of a
fault, I think.
downer.
I took it to that place. I didn't mean to. If you want, I can tell you about my morning routines.
Okay.
Okay, I wake up and on weekends I lay in bed for 45 minutes and I'm wearing one of these silk bonnets, which
Mm,
for all of my curly heads out there, if you don't have one of these,
get one.
it's a game changer.
Yeah, get it.
It's
Like,
so nice.
get it for real.
Yesterday. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I wear one of those. Today I laid in bed for 45 minutes and I played Stardew Valley.
Nice.
Um, and then sometimes I get up right away to brush my teeth, and then other times I add another 10 minutes onto that 45 minutes just to splurge. And then I sit on the couch for an hour.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's my morning routine. Just, I don't like to brag about it very often, but I figure,
Yeah.
when am I going to
Sometimes
do
you
it if not
just
on my birthday?
have to recognize that you are better than other people. So
Mhm.
it's just a fact, you know?
Yeah. I'm not going to pretend. I'm tired of pretending that it isn't.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we're talking about Oh Brother, Where Art Thou today?
Yay!
Goody oh boy. I do have three of the letters for the acronym.
Which ones?
Three. There's a cat on that counter. So I have three letters, and it's the first three letters.
Okay.
Hmm. So if you have any ideas for a fourth letter,
Fourth letter.
I'm taking
We could put like an
suggestions.
M on the end.
Everybody else, shut up. Keep talking.
I mean, it kind of depends on what the first three letters are, but I was thinking, like, what if we made it be like STEM or something like that?
I really think you're onto something there.
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, I might have an M. Shall we go in order, regular style, or like reverse order? Mets.
Match. Everett and Blake Nelson. Sirens.
Sirens. Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
there's sirens in this movie.
Yeah, dude. For the M, the only thing that I could think of top of my mind was McGill because of Ulysses Everett McGill. But if we're
Mm.
already doing E for Ulysses Everett McGill, then, we're kind of doubling up.
And we do marriage? Question mark, exclamation point. So it's
Marriage.
like,
Yeah.
"Huh?"
Yeah, that could work. Or it could be the double M's in Tommy.
I'm trying to think of something like, I got it. Man made for Sarah. Man, oh, something. Sorry, the song. I don't
Oh,
remember what
Man
it's
of Constant
called.
Sorrow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good one. Because I was thinking I was on my way there, but I had to start with Soggy Bottom Boys, and I was like, well, we already have an S. Move on.
Mm.
Yeah.
But that's a really good name.
Yeah, I like
Well,
that
I
moment
think
where
we've done
they're
it.
like, yeah, I think we've done it. I like the moment where they're in the like recording studio and he says like how much he's gonna pay them. And he's like just makes up an extra number of guys to be a part of it.
Only four of us can write.
hmm Or like they keep
Awesome.
having to change like they ask if they're like if they're white or not. And he'll just
Hmm.
like change his answer to be like, I don't know.
He's like, yeah, no, we're not actually. We're all black except for our
The guy on the
guitar
guitar.
player.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I don't do any of them songs. And they're like, well, actually, that works out because we're all white except for the
The guy on the guitar.
the guitar.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
bit
Yeah.
gets funnier every time. That's something that I had forgotten because it's been a while since I watched this movie, but when I was rewatching it this weekend, um, it's so funny.
Yeah.
It's so good. Should we get into it?
Yes.
Okie
Yay.
dokie. Hello,
Okie
welcome to
dokie.
Living in STEM.
Thank
This is
you.
Whitney, and that's Olivia. And
Hi.
today is my birthday.
Yay.
Mhm. Thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
I turned 1,000 years old today.
Mhm.
It's a pretty exciting milestone.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? You
Yeah,
don't look a day over 900.
thank you. That's really
Mhm.
sweet. Yeah. So, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah, good movie.
Good
Very funny.
movie. Very good. I love the bit in the where they're in the barn and it's burning, and George Clooney says about 15 times, "Damn, we're in a tight spot."
Yeah.
And each time
Like
it just gets
I
more and more
genuinely
agitated.
every single time I was like in The Princess Bride when they're like facing off in the basement, he's like, "Stop saying that." Like that's how I felt. I was Count Rugen and he was Inigo Montoya. Stop saying that. I think I like every time I think back on this movie, I remember that I really enjoy it because it's so funny.
Hmm.
And then I watch it and I still have moments that like I laugh out loud. Like I'm really taken aback at how funny it is, even though I watched it because I was like, oh, I remember that movie being really funny.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's one of those sneaky ones.
hmm
And I think this is another one of, and I don't know if I just keep overusing this analogy. Feel free to take it from me at any point, but this movie is one that I considered to be like, oh, George Clooney's an actor.
hmm
Just because of the way that he delivers all of his lines, he says them in the weirdest ways.
Yeah.
And I love it. He talks like two times speed compared to everybody else's lines. He fits like double the amount of words in, and half of them aren't even making any sense.
Yeah.
But he's just talking fast enough to convince everybody else around him to go along with whatever he's saying.
Yeah. Which is awesome when you remember that he was in jail for practicing law without a license. You're like, okay, yeah, that's adding up. Um,
Very funny. In my head, this guy is Jeff Winger's like great great grandfather.
yeah, yeah. They're like taking up the family business, which is lying about having a law degree. It's not a law firm. It's like something, a secret, more sinister thing. For those who haven't seen the movie, we can do a brief recap. Basically,
Yeah.
there's these three men who are in the chain gang together. They break prison, but they have to stay together because their legs are like tied to each other, you know? They find a cousin who can break the chains so that they all can go their separate ways, but then they still kind of don't go their separate ways, and they just get into a series of like shenanigans. that all end
Mhm.
up culminating together. Like every person that they meet on their journey ends up being all part of like an intricate web of politics in the South, which is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're mainly staying together because George Clooney, whose name is Ulysses Everett McGill, yeah,
McGill, yeah.
he has convinced them to break out of prison to go retrieve this treasure that he buried before he went to prison,
Hmm.
before the valley is flooded to make a lake. So they've got a time crunch. They've got to get out quick.
Hmm. They're like,
Hmm.
they'll mention several times, oh, there's only 3 days until they break that dam, right? So we gotta
Hmm.
go. And you're like, oh no, the clock is ticking. They keep getting into these shenanigans. They're not gonna make it in time.
So many shenanigans.
Um,
Hijinks.
yeah, hijinks, quite a few hijinks.
Tomfoolery.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean,
Um, there's a moment in which so it's loosely based on the Odyssey, kind of
mhm,
a comedic retelling of the Odyssey if it was in the South, during the height of the KKK, which is like um anyway, there's this part where the sirens are like women doing their like washing their clothes in the river, and they get like
mhm.
lulled in, and then the next morning one of them is gone, but there's a toad in his clothes. So they're like, he got
He got turned
turned
into a
into
toad.
a toad. And they keep him around for the next 20, 30 minutes of the movie in a shoebox as if he's like still like that's still him and he's a toad.
Yeah. And Everett, at first he's like, hey, Delmar, I don't think that's Pete, buddy. I really don't. But then as it progresses, he's like,
The toad starts
well,
growing on him. He's like, I think
it
this is
really
Pete.
does. And if it is, he deserves what got, like
Mhm.
he deserved this. He deserved to get turned into a toad.
Yeah. Which is like a
Yeah.
crazy thing to say because it's not like anything bad happened to them. Like they woke up the
No.
next morning and were fine and just had the nice memory of these beautiful women singing them a lullaby. Like nothing
Hmm.
bad happened to them. The only bad thing happened to Pete because he was rearrested, but they don't
Yeah.
know that. They think he was turned into a toad. Either way, something bad happened to Pete, but they were fine. So it's ridiculous to be like,
Yeah.
well, he deserved it. Like,
Especially
what
because
did he do to
he was
you?
he and he's only out of prison because you talked him into it, Everett. I love it too because when they find Pete again, they somehow bring the prisoners into the movie theater to watch a picture show, and Everett and Dahmer are there, and he just starts whispering, "Do not seek the treasure." And Delmar looks like he's gonna cry. He's like, "Oh my gosh, Pete, we thought you were a toad." And Pete's like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
So he doubles down. He just, maybe he can't hear me. We thought you were a
We
toad.
thought you
You
was
were
a
a
toad.
toad.
It's like, do not seek the treasure.
They just keep repeating it at each
Everyone in the
other.
movie theater is like, shh.
It's jumped down. It's
Crazy.
awesome.
It's so funny.
I don't take credit for this. I saw someone online that pointed it out, but you know how in the Odyssey, Cersei turns um Odysseus' men into pigs. In this movie, the sirens turn Odysseus's man into the pigs, like
Like,
turns him
like
into the
turns them
cops.
in, like to like space.
Yeah,
Like not
yeah,
into, but like into.
in space to the pigs. The Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny, right?
Have you seen that? It's the horn section.
Is it the police? Is it the pigs?
Is it the cops? Is it the narcs?
Is it the boys in blue?
Is it the feds?
Is it the 5-0? Is it the fuzz?
Is it Bergerac? Is it the scum?
Is it Morse?
Is it the filth?
No, it's the highway maintenance vehicle. That's the end of
That's the end of the
the
song.
song.
He may be the funniest person alive.
It's
Has anyone
possible.
sat down to figure that out?
He hasn't sat head to head with Grace, so it's hard to say for sure. But if we could get them into a room together,
It
who
would be
knows what happened?
explosive.
That's actually why they haven't yet. It's not allowed. It like breaks
Yeah.
Geneva conventions or something. It's too powerful.
Grace is unstoppable force. Alex Horn is immovable object.
That is so true.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Someday.
Oh,
So the
really
movie,
good.
it's good.
So
It's a good
the
movie.
movie, it's a good movie. Yeah. So something that I really like. It's a Coen Brothers movie. Some people describe it as a musical. It's not. It's not. It has songs in it.
No.
It's not a musical.
Yeah, those are different things.
Yeah, I saw it on a poll online. Someone's like, which
Mm.
musical is better, Beauty and the Beast versus Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I'm like, you are literally,
Ridiculous
this is apples and
question.
oranges. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
they're not nowhere close to being the same
Because
thing.
the thing is, movies tend to have music in them.
Yeah,
But that's not the same thing as it being a musical. A musical,
no.
specifically, characters will sing a song to demonstrate their growth as a character or what's happening in the
Hmm.
plot. Instead of showing it, they'll sing about it, kind of like to
Yeah.
summarize.
Yep, yep,
Like
yep, yep,
in
yep.
Beauty and the Beast, for example, there's that like montage where she's living in the castle and he shows her the library and they're playing out in the
Mhm.
snow and whatever. You see them kind of
Something
bonding
there.
over
Yeah,
time. It's over
yeah.
time, but it's just one song because they're singing the song to demonstrate the passage of time.
And their
It's a
own internal
narrative
thoughts.
tool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and their own thoughts, their thought process
She's
about it.
like,
A
oh,
movie that just
he's kind
has
of
somebody
sweet,
singing in
actually.
it isn't the
Not the
same as
same
a
thing.
musical. It's like
Thank
calling
you.
Triple
Yeah.
R a musical. But the
It's
dance
just
off
the
happens in real life. They're actually at a party and they're dancing. And then
hmm
Beam's song when he's like being lynched is like he's
It's
actually
not
just
funny,
singing.
sorry.
Like, you know?
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
actually happening like in real life, not in the characters' heads.
hmm
Bahubali, that's a musical.
That's a musical. There's singing, there's like dancing numbers. Like
Yeah.
they bring the story to a halt so they can dance on a swan boat. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
not that I'm saying there's
the
anything
swan
wrong with
boat,
that.
you're like, is this a euphemism? Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
Heavily so. Yeah.
The one that Avantika sings with
When they're at the
Shiva?
waterfall and then suddenly flowers start blooming and
Flout.
falling. What could that mean? We don't know. It's symbolic
It's
because it's
like
a musical.
and it's a little too heavy-handed.
It's
Quite
honestly, you're
literally,
like,
because
it would be better to, like, it's more obscene.
anyways, so it's not a
It's like,
musical, but it does have good music in it.
it does have good music in it. I just
Yeah.
remembered my aunt was telling me she went to like a production of Romeo and Juliet, and there was like a scene where they were like kissing, and they were like, "Oh, we didn't want it to be too, um, be like too evocative." So the director was like, "Oh, just turn the lights off," which makes it 1,000 times worse. Now everybody in the audience is like, because you can just hear them kissing, but you don't see that they're not even doing anything that bad. So your brain just goes to like the farthest extreme. She was like, why would you do that? Terrible choice. You shouldn't have done that. If anything, turn the sound down and just have the visual. Like if you have to choose one or the other, don't make it dark. Anyway, that's just another example where you're like, this is worse. This is
Go back. Do whatever else you need to do. But stop not telling us. I think a lot about that one letter that your the theater department got about how the person needed to go home and watch the Little Mermaid so they could feel
So they could feel the spirit
God's
again.
presence again.
Yeah. Which was funny because that's another, it's a
Yeah.
show in which something like kind of morally bad is implied, and then the actual story is like, how do we come back from this?
Hmm.
Like, how do we find like justice for the person who was wronged? How do they, start to like rebuild their life, whatever, whatever. So
Yeah.
it's like, just because it implies something that's morally bad doesn't mean it's like condoning morally bad things. And you have to go home and watch The Little Mermaid to feel God in your life again. Where's God in that movie? They're mermaids.
I don't even have any words.
Yeah, yeah. But to this
And
day,
neither does she.
we use, yeah, we use that to describe people who are like a little bit too Christian. You know?
Yeah.
They like can't
Yeah.
enjoy things because it's not of God or whatever. You're like, okay, just go home and watch The Little Mermaid then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
And
is
like
also a musical.
true. And yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Mhm. So this movie, which as we've discussed is not a musical,
Yeah.
but is very funny.
Hmm.
Um,
One might call it a comedy.
one might and one should.
Hmm.
Uh, I remember where it was. It's the Coen Brothers movie, and it yeah, no, I lost it again. It's gone. Oh, I know, I remember. So they were like, I guess they're trying to go home, so let's incorporate some elements from the Odyssey. But it's very important to note that no one on the crew or cast had ever read the Odyssey, and the Coen brothers were only incorporating elements that they had have learned through cultural osmosis, which is kind of fun.
Yeah,
Tim
yeah.
Blake Nelson was the only person. He's a classics major, and he's the only one who's read the Odyssey. And I think that's very, very funny because he's the stupidest person in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love him so much.
Hi, Tim Blake Nelson.
Hi.
Um, that rocks. And it does like I think if you're also in the position of like I know the Odyssey through cultural osmosis, or if you're like those people on Twitter a while back who were like, it's what was it, like classist to assume that people would understand the Odyssey? Did you hear about that? Like,
Forgot about that.
yeah, like it's
Yeah.
only classic literature for your culture, and you'd be like, we're both Western, so like pick a different argument. Anyway, it's funny to like if you're in that position of you're like kind of familiar with the story, but you've never actually read it, then watching this movie, you're like, yeah, totally. Like you understand all the
Mhm.
connections that are being made because they're the connections that are obvious to people who haven't read it. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
fun. It's like we're speaking to the people.
Yeah. 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 You got all the hard hitters. You have the Cyclops.
Cyclops. Hmm.
He's played by John Goodman.
Yeah, he is. And he's a Bible
John.
salesman. He's a crooked Bible salesman with an eye patch.
Yeah, he's got an eye
That's so
patch.
awesome.
He kills the toad
Yeah, he
that they
smushes
think is
it.
Pete.
And Delmer's like, I'm gonna kill you. You killed Pete. But he's too little.
He's really, really small. John Goodman is a very, very large man.
Yeah,
He's so
he's a
scary.
mountain.
And he's got the voice for it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he could be 5 feet shorter and he'd still be the scariest person alive.
Like
Yeah.
this the only words that I can remember are from Ever After when Danielle is like threatening the Weasley guy and she's like, I'm gonna slit you from navel to nose. Those are the words, but that's not what's actually happening in the scene. I'm trying to remember the scene from Community, where he's like
Oh, from navel to rectum, from now until the end of time.
until the end of time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In my mind, those speeches are the same. And Danielle de Barbarac has the same energy as the HVAC guy from Community.
Forget everything you said after the word rectum.
Yeah.
I do. I think John Goodman's character in Community is one of the best characters ever written in anything
Yeah.
ever. Has he ever done anything wrong? I don't think so. Can we
I
get
don't think
confirmation
so.
on that? Hey, Maud, Jason, has John Goodman ever done anything bad? Oh my gosh, yeah. So John Goodman, um, if we've said it once, we've said it 1,000 times. How many movies have we talked about with him in it? Three,
I'm
right?
looking
At
I'm
least.
looking through them right now. We've definitely talked about what's this one? We've done Monsters Inc. We've done Emperor's New
Version Groove.
Groove. So that's at least three already. I feel like
Uh-huh.
we've probably done more. I feel like he's always kind of on our minds, even if we're not talking about him
Yeah,
specifically.
that's true. John Goodman, yeah, Bible salesman. We have the devil in this movie.
Yeah.
He's a cop. He's the sheriff. He
Hmm.
never he doesn't ever take off his glasses, but they're mirrored, and he's always
Yes.
got flames reflected in them.
It's so cool.
It's really good.
It's really good. And
It's really good.
he's like weirdly eager to burn down people's property. Like the first
Mhm.
time when they're like stuck in the barn and they like call out to him several times like you better come out here or we're gonna burn the place down and then like so they burn the place down and you're like okay
Mhm.
like pretty extreme but whatever but then every other time you see that guy they'll give like maybe one warning and then they're
Yeah.
like well I guess we better burn this barn down like that's
Yeah.
just like that's the way he operates in the world just burning stuff down.
Yeah. And if he weren't a cop, that'd be a pretty based way to live.
Hmm.
My mom asked me what I wanted to do for my birthday this week, and I said arson. So, like, if that's an innate human urge to want to burn things down,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
understand.
You
The
just
other
got
thing
to
about
pick
that
the
first
right
scene,
things.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the correct buildings to burn down. Generally, people's houses, not a
not
bad
so
thing to burn.
nice. Yeah.
Um, when they're in the barn the first time, and it's Pete's cousin who turned him in for the bounty, and Pete's not even like scared or anything; he's just pissed. So they
Hmm.
throw the torch into the barn. Pete just picks it up and lobs it right back at them, and it
Yeah.
lights their car on fire.
Yes, they
And they keep every
explode.
explosive in the world in there, and they're shooting bullets, and yeah, it explodes. That's just good.
And that's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
really good
Well,
and
and I
really
love
funny.
that Pete, he's like, yeah, my own kin betrayed me, but I guess that's to be expected. You can't trust anybody with this last name. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
kind of
Hog
awesome.
Walton or something.
Yeah, something
That's
like
really good.
ridiculous like that.
Uh, I really like the group's dynamic through the whole thing because Pete and Everett kind of butt heads about leadership. Um, and then Delmar's just happy to be there through the
Hmm.
whole thing. He's just like smiling. He's like, with you guys. He's
Yay.
so helpful.
Hmm.
L-
And
I
he's a
love
little bit
Delmar.
naive, you know? Like he truly believes those wicked women turned my friend into a toad. He
No
believes
doubt.
that for a long time. He'll kind
Yeah.
of, he's very trusting and he'll believe things like pretty much at face value, you know? He's not looking
Hmm.
for like the real reason behind something.
Yeah. He got baptized and he spends like the next 40 minutes of the movie just going on about how he's been saved.
Yeah.
He's like, me and Pete were saved. I don't know about Everett. He didn't really want to do it, but it's okay. We're still friends.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
just the
I
sweetest
like
person in the
when
whole wide world.
he's so nice. They pick up Tommy at an intersection. They're like out driving somewhere and they see this guy middle of nowhere and they're like, probably better pick that guy up. So they slow down. They're like, hey man, do you need a ride? And he's like, sure, thanks. Hops in and they're like, tell us your story, man. Where are you from? Like, what brings you all the way out here? And he's like, oh, I sold my soul to the devil last night. And Everett is like, what a crazy coincidence. Pete and Delmer just got saved.
He says, I am the only one who remains unaffiliated. That line took me out. It was so
Yeah,
good.
he's so funny.
He's cracking himself up. He does this a lot. He makes his own little jokes that no one else finds funny, and he's
Mhm.
laughing. And I relate to that a lot.
He's like, I know that I'm clever. That's all that matters to me. Yeah, he is
I
a
love how concerned
funny,
he is with
funny
his
guy.
hair through the whole thing. Like when they jolt out of sleep, like 3 or 4 different times, he's always
This is
like,
my
"My hair,
hair.
this is my hair,"
Yeah.
and he
He's so
constantly is
full of
worried about
himself.
his. He wants his
He's
the
George
right
Clooney.
pomade.
Like he's Ulysses
Yeah,
Everett McGill, but he's George Clooney. Like
yes.
I like that so the like police are trying to track them down because they escaped from prison. So they're trying to get them to come back
Hmm.
to prison. And the way that they track them is they just have their bloodhounds like smell his hair nets that he leaves behind. Because he uses so much pomade and hair nets that he's like fully leaving a trail exactly to where they're going.
And he just does not pick up on this.
He's so
For the
stupid.
longest, he's so dumb. He's so dumb. I love him so much. I'm
Yeah.
gonna name my first child. His first name is gonna be Ulysses Everett McGill, and then maybe a middle name and then the last name as well.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I believe that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, so the movie's really funny. Uh I don't have a thought. Go on.
The movie's
I
really
had a thought,
funny,
it got lost.
and
Yeah,
I
it is.
like
That's true.
the story. There's like it would be fun if it was just them like meeting these random people and having like going on little side quests, but it's nice that
Yeah.
all the side quests come together and you're like, "Yay!" It makes a very satisfying ending.
Yay. So one of the people that they meet is they're hitchhiking on the road, and then a car drives up real quick like
Mhm.
behind them and then just stops, and the guy's like, "Hey guys, do you have any directions into town?" And they're trying to give him directions, but they see cars coming up behind him. He's like, "How about you hop in? I'll just drive with you." And they ooh, start speeding off.
Well, and something
Delmer's
notable
like,
about this car, it comes up all quick like, and there's like mysterious papers flying out that kind of look like dollars. Kind of looks like cash money, and they're like, hmm. And
"Hmm."
then he's like, "Hey, do you guys have directions?" And they're like lollygagging. They're taking their sweet time trying to find the answer to the question because none of them are actually from here either. Robin, love this guy.
He's so fun. Then Delmer is like, hey there, buddy. Your bag is open. All your money is just flying loose through the air. And the guy, his name is George Nelson. And he's like, hey man, no worries. Just stuff that back in the bag if you wouldn't mind. And Delmer, sweetest man in the world, he does that.
He does that,
He
yeah.
doesn't pocket
Well,
any.
he's
He's
been
just like,
saved,
okie
so
dokie.
he can't be a thief anymore. And he also, what does he
Yeah.
call it? Like it's not like your bag is open. It's like
No, it's something funny.
your spending money is or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I don't remember either, but
Yeah,
that wording did
it's
catch me
it's
as well.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's very good. And then it turns out it's George Babyface Nelson,
Hmm.
who is a bank robber. And then he brings them in to rob a new bank with him. He's like, come on, guys, let's go. We're going for the record. Three banks in 2 hours. Let's go.
Like, and everyone's like, okay. They just kind of shuffle into the bank behind him, and he's like
Yeah.
trying to stick up the bank, like this is a robbery. And then somebody's like, "Is that Baby George?" And he's like, "No." And he goes crazy, and
Yeah, he
then
does.
he has to leave. And then so anyway, they make it out. They have like their campfire, and he's sitting there with them, and he's like, "Hmm, maybe I will kill myself," you know. He kind of disappears into the forest, but they're like, we'll probably see him around again because I think he's gonna have another perhaps manic episode, you know?
Yeah, and that's very funny because um Delmer's like, what do you suppose is eating George? And George Clooney then says, well, you see, some people have what's called a bipolar disorder, where they have
Yeah.
manic episodes, but then it comes crashing down way lower than no, it's like
Yeah, yeah. Basically, yeah.
like he goes and just understands the student like mental illness.
Yeah. Instantly, he clocks him immediately. He's like, I see.
Self-recognition through the other, perhaps. Mr. McGill.
Hmm, interesting.
So I
Hmm.
like Babyface Nelson. He's a very fun character. Um, George Nelson. He doesn't like to be called Babyface, which
No,
to me is a very
that's what makes
fun
him
little
crazy.
tidbit. It does.
Hmm.
This is like real life history. Is gangsters with like those fun names? None of them liked to be called by their fun little nicknames. They were
Mm,
all insulted by them, and I like that. I think that's kind of fun.
yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's kind of too bad because nicknames are so fun. But then
Mhm.
it's also kind of awesome that you could like wield a nickname as a weapon against another person.
Mhm.
Call them Babyface Nelson, Baby
Yeah.
George. It's funny that he would like go to places where people know him and then get mad that people recognize him.
Yeah.
Like, you're from here. I don't know what you expected.
Yeah. Um, I think one example of a fun nickname that you can use to, you know, maybe it is a hate crime. I don't know who's to say. Is if you have a coworker that you hate who spends
Mhm.
$70 on shampoo, um, and then he noticed one day that his socks were a shade darker brown than his belt was, and then have a panic attack and cry, maybe to call him Hollywood, even though
Mhm.
he hates it.
I think that would be fine, actually.
Yeah, it's more than fine. A lot of fun.
It's delicious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
You know, I've
go ahead.
seen this movie.
Yes, you have. Sure.
Uh-huh.
I've seen it too. Yesterday, in
And
fact.
so that's something that we have in common. We both
Mhm.
watched this movie at least one time.
Yes, we have. Um, I have notes written down from the movie if we
Mm.
want to go through them.
We should do those because that tends to be the only way we actually talk about anything.
Yeah. So you know that scene where they accidentally stumble onto the KKK rally?
Which
First of all, I think
I like that scene very much.
it's so funny. And it's kind of weird to say that the KKK scene is like, oh, that's one of my favorite
It's like,
scenes in the
oh, so
movie.
funny. Yeah. It really is only, it's
You
like
gotta
if
be,
you know, you know, if you've seen the movie, you know.
you get it.
Um,
Yeah,
what's
it's like in
interesting
Blazing
about,
Saddles.
yeah. In this
Mhm.
movie, like when I was watching it, I had the question of like, how organized actually are they? With like the
Because they've got
chanting.
choreographed dances in
Yeah,
the
they have
movie.
choreographed dances, and not because it's a musical, to be clear, but just
Mm-mm.
because they're trying to show how it's like, a ritualistic society and whatever, whatever,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah.
I just thought that that was so interesting. Like, who do they have rehearsals, or do new members only learn like through, like you go to the rally and they're like, you'll figure it out.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Or are they,
Yeah.
when they have new recruits, are they like, okay, you have to come to like this place the night before so you can get some practice in because it's like really embarrassing if you don't know all your steps.
Do they have the tape up like they have on stages?
Right,
Like,
like
okay, here, and you're
how
gonna
do
walk
they all
from here to
know
here.
this? For a movie, it makes sense because for a movie, you like actually hire people who can like learn their song and dance and then they rehearse it and then they film it. But in real
Hmm.
life, we have this image of like KKK people or like Satanists or whatever. They always have these like intricate rituals with a lot of choreography. But I just wonder,
Hmm.
like, practically, like, what are the logistics of getting people together to practice those pre-ritual, you know?
Yeah, and you have to think all of those are like white men.
Yeah. So how are they? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't say anything about that, but like
And that could mean anything.
so the fun thing about this particular scene is they hired like hundreds of extras to do this,
Yeah.
and like 90% of them were black men.
Awesome. They're like, we're reclaiming it. Well, and that actually makes sense too, because I just think like if I were a white actor, I wouldn't be like too
You
eager.
don't go for that role.
Like you wouldn't want to be too eager. Mm.
Yeah, it's like actually, well, and funny enough, that guy, you know the guy. He's in Get Out. He's the blind guy in Get Out. He's in this one and also is blind.
Yes. Is he blind in real life or does he just play blind characters?
He's just blind and he's just in this and these two things. Because
Is
I've seen
that
him in lots of other
Oh,
things.
in lots of
Not
other things he's
blind.
not blind. Right, 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 right.
He's not
But he
blind.
just has
Yeah.
played
So
blind
unless he's very
twice,
good at pretending to not be blind.
which could be true also.
There he goes. Like, also true. Yeah, it's a possibility.
Like Run a
Yeah.
Dug a Buddy. He's only half blind, but still.
Oh,
Anyway, so movie.
yeah,
You have notes of movie.
movie. I do
I
have
went to
notes of movie.
Letterboxd. Sometimes I'll go to Letterboxd and just look at the reviews that I've liked. This time, I've only liked one person's review of this movie ever. And it just says, sometimes I get mad about how good this movie is. That's the only review that I read that I was like, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's so good.
Hmm.
It's so good. It's beautiful visually. All of the fun little stories, they feel like an episode each. Like you're watching a
Hmm.
10-minute episode of something new happen to these guys, and then they all
Yeah.
just kind of coalesce into one season of a thing. Like
Yeah.
each thing is broken up pretty
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
nicely.
Like the concert at the end, season finale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very good. So KKK members were black men. That's very funny. One of them,
That's
they
funny,
were
especially
starting to
because
record a scene.
the scandalous reveal of
The, the
of the
color
Soggy
guard.
Bottom Boys is the color guard is colored.
That
That's
line
so
down
funny.
too. It took me out of the knees.
It's so funny. Anyway, what were you
So
saying during filming?
really funny. Yeah, so they were just about to film one scene, and I can't remember if it was one of the directors. Someone heard one of the guys look around at everybody and say, "Man, this is crazy." Just like he couldn't get over how surreal. It's like I'm in a KKK outfit.
Yeah,
So that was very
that's
funny.
weird.
They really, yeah. So they filmed a lot in the outdoors, and so they decided they wanted to have a snake catcher on set. And one of the Coen brothers came up and asked him. So what he would do is he had a golf club and a laundry bag. And what he would do when he saw a snake, he'd just go up, he'd scoop up the snake, he'd put it in the bag, and then later he'd go back and release it. Um, so one of the Coen brothers said to him, he's like, "How do you get it? What kind of a person, gets a job like this?" And the guy just said, no expression, an idiot.
That's funny.
It was very good. And I thought that was really funny a lot. Only the Odyssey through cultural osmosis, the color correcting. Have you ever seen the non-color corrected footage of this film?
Hmm. Well, because it's filmed in the South in the summer. Obviously, it's the greenest thing you've ever seen.
They said it was greener than Ireland.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But they
But then
wanted
color correcting,
the
yeah, they want that kind of
yeah,
like vintage, like dry feel.
the autumn tones,
Yeah, so they turn everything like,
sepia.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. They wanted to do it physically, like on the film. But they couldn't figure out a way to do that and make it look good still. So they just went in, and this is one of the first films in the States to do like all the color correcting digitally like this.
Yeah.
They did a really good job.
They're making
Uh,
history.
the Coen brothers say that every single movie they make is just a ripoff of The Wizard of Oz. That's pretty funny.
That's
Um,
funny.
George Nelson, yep, I talked about him. Okay, I've told you this before, but a lot of the trivia bits that I get about the movie, I get through IMDb trivia page.
Hmm.
Um, and some of them are very useful, and I uh fact check them elsewhere. This one,
Just in case.
just in case, yeah.
Yeah.
So one of them said that George Nelson lived out the rest of his days in Alcatraz, and that is not true. He died in a shootout between a bunch of FBI agents. I fact checked that in several places. So I'm
Hmm.
like, you're just coming on the internet and lying? But this one I thought was very fun. Actually, hang on, I'm gonna pull up the actual comment. I screenshotted it. I
It's
couldn't
funny because
get over
in the
how
movie they say George Nelson is going to the electric chair. So it's like either way, he was like executed, like he didn't go to Alcatraz.
yeah, no, not at all. Um, okay, here it is. The trio in the movie has a connection with Ed, and Eddie. Delmar is like Ed, Pete is like Double D, and Everett is like Eddie.
Okay. I don't know. I feel
And
like you could
that's
look at any trio and be like, I'm getting real Ed, and Eddie vibes
I
from
know,
this. Like,
guy who has only ever seen. It's like that was the only explanation they gave. They had no other information, no other reasoning.
right. It's not like one's inspired by the other. It's just like Everett is kind of like Eddie.
Not
Okay.
even like the letters in their name. Nothing.
No.
Yeah. And it's not even like a topical reference.
No,
Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
I feel like the overlap of like people who watch Ed, Ed and Eddie and people who watch this movie has got to be pretty small, right?
It's like the circles are just kissing, and that point is
Just
this
barely.
person.
Yeah, it's just one guy who was like, this is
He's
totally like
holding both circles together, like that clip of Captain America holding the helicopter. So I wrote that down because I thought it was really funny.
That's really funny.
Yeah,
You're like,
Siren.
this doesn't matter.
No, not at all. Thank you for your contribution, I guess. It's like the
Really
genius
glad you said that.
sanitation.
Yeah.
Sirens turned Pete in space to pigs. Very funny. The KKK rally again. This had some of the best hard hitter lines in the show. They're like, the guy's giving his speech about how non-whites ruin everything. Crowd just does two unified hooray, hooray.
Yeah.
It's not like this is the most low energy.
It's super in here.
Yay. Whoa.
Yeah. You tell him. Amen. Like, it's so robotic and weird.
They hide from the Cyclops, aka John Goodman, aka Crooked Bible Salesman,
Yeah.
by
Which is
hiding in the
awesome.
KKK
That's
outfits.
such a funny character.
It's sick. That's awesome. Like, and then they fling the flag post at the crowd, and you think, oh my gosh, this is the thing. They're gonna poke out his other eye. This is
Yeah.
what they do with Cyclops
Yeah.
in the show, in the Odyssey, the other one.
In the
But
show,
instead, John
my
Goodman goes,
favorite show, he catches it.
it's like half an inch from his face.
Yeah.
Don't ever give Klansmen credit for anything, okay? Just
No,
general
no,
rule
no.
of thumb.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say that was cool.
Yeah. It's like
It's
how when
oh,
we
you
talk
know
about
how it is in
RRR, where it's
the
like
RRR.
every
Oh, life is beautiful.
every bad guy
Same,
has to have one
same.
moment where they're cool, so that their threat is actually threatening.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good.
That was
And you don't get to revel
awesome.
in it for too. That was really good. This is like that day that we made that Amanda Gooden joke.
Yeah.
Same time.
Yeah. And then we both paused and said, Amanda, if you're listening. It was a 2 for 1.
Yeah. Oh, we spent too much time together.
Yeah, that's true.
I liked that. And then they squashed John Goodman with a burning cross.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yay. Speaking of movies with burning crosses, Hell's Hinges and RRR. I'm just saying, every movie comes back to these movies.
That's actually so true.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm still working on the technology. It's not caught up to my vision yet, but I'm trying to figure out how you can get an entire film tattooed on yourself.
Yeah, someday.
Yeah. Well, yeah, one day eventually. I think that every movie that's not the movies that we talk about should be illegal. That's been the new thing that I've been doing this week. I'll be eating like apple and peanut butter. I'll be like, every food that's not this food should be illegal.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes people will be like, I agree. Yep, you're correct. Sometimes people will be like, no, it shouldn't. Why? No, that's not enough. And I think,
Mhm.
well,
You
you
should
don't
be illegal.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, if you know what? Exploding you, exploding you, exploding you.
Nightmare, nightmare, nightmare. I think that that could be a rule though. Like it's kind of like banning or unbanning books. Like every movie should be banned until we talk about it, and then the public is allowed to watch it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad we've
'Cause
done
then
all
we
the
know that
important
people are,
ones.
yeah, because then people are only watching movies that are good.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're actually saving everyone time.
You don't be having that what no, hold on, let me start over. You don't have
I'm really glad
to
you said
keep watching.
that.
So I don't have any more. Those are the end of my notes.
Okay. I don't think I have anything
I
else
can
either.
awesome. I can ask if Jason has anything.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's just right in here.
Just get him
Okay.
over real quick. Yeah.
We're gonna boo him, okay?
Okay.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Boo! Oh, sorry. I just boo. I just tomato, tomato. Hi.
Oh no. Stop.
I didn't bring any comments for this movie.
Can you hear him?
Yeah, he didn't bring any comments, but he can go down like a half flight of stairs, I just learned, so that's kind of cool. I think that's like bonus points back, you know?
Yeah, you're not negative numbers anymore.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. Back at
I
0.
I'll go back up so I can go to dinner.
Thanks, Jason. Text me if you have any thoughts, and I'll send them to Olivia to maybe include if you like. Thanks for doing this. This was fun.
Yeah, it was. We should probably do it another time, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, we could do it about a different movie next time.
Shut up. Come on, that's never gonna work.
Yeah, no, because then we can get like new perspectives on things, you know, instead of like rehashing the same movie. What if people get bored of that? But instead, we could like try something new, kind of gauge reaction to it.
Okay.
That way we can unban like 2 movies at a time instead of just one.
Okay. Well,
It's
it's
risky,
definitely a
but it
gamble.
just might work.
Yeah. What the hell? Let's throw caution to the wind. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's what we're on. That's one of my favorite scenes from Taskmaster. I think it's from season 7 when Jessica Knappett says, "Come on, Greg, let's just do it." And she just gets so excited for like the tiniest,
nothing.
dumbest thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that a lot and I like it and I just think it's funny and that's all.